Okay, and welcome to my guest today, Ian Ross. Ian's been a member in practice for SEMA for quite a long time, and he's also the chair of the Members in Practice panel. So I wanted to start off, Ian, by just asking you why you went into practice and what sort of was the catalyst for doing that, and how you decided what you would do. So if you give us a little background.
Good question. I think having looked at my career, I started with very large companies and gradually reduced in size. And the catalyst for becoming a member in practice was that I was made redundant twice in the space of 11 months. And neither was my fault as my story. One was a business that had traded for 99 years and had a funded liquidation because the parts were worth more than the whole. And the second, I became a commercial director of a business in Macclesfield, and it was hit by an arson attack. And of course, I was expensive to keep and cheap to remove. So that was the catalyst. And what could I do? I found that having trained as a mathematician and turned into an accountant, coping with numbers was a good thing. And so things that changed the business in some way. One of the projects I did turned a £4 million business losing 120,000 into a £3 million business making £200,000 profit in the shape of a year. Not any great skill on my part, thanks to Bill Gates and Microsoft Excel did the numbers, but it's asking that slightly different questions about the way the business takes part. So I ended up doing interim work on projects of one sort or another in a whole variety of sectors, including IT and distribution. And I have had 4 gigs in the not-for-profit sector, so I know a little bit about charities. And so numbers have always been exciting to me, and cash is also quite exciting. So I've helped some people collect some cash. And I have for a long time the strapline of restoring confidence to your business numbers, because if a business works through numbers and they're unreliable, then you take unreliable or wrong decisions. And just getting the numbers right and having information that is key, critical, and available at short notice is a great plan.
So has your work sort of focused mainly on sort of turning around businesses? So you talked about changing one from losses into profits and things like that. Is that the sort of thing you've done with the charities as well? Help them to find new ways to generate extra income and things like that?
The work with the charity was a variety of things. One was to help with the costing, other to help with the reporting. And so I wouldn't describe myself as an expert on Sun, but getting the information from there, it was transformational what I did. Instead of having just in the month and year to date, that's no good if you've got a project that is 15 months, which you immediately see covers more than one financial year. But if you see the picture of the project as a whole, then you can see, are there some gaps? Are there some excess cash that they've got on restricted funds? So there's one particular project I remember. It was coming toward the end of its life, but it had money, so it could say to the client, "We've got money. We can continue with this service for 4 more months," and that's quite helpful if your work is any good. And being able to change the future is quite exciting. So there's a tiny bit of turnaround, but the majority were projects of one sort or another. Say, sometimes to do with cash, sometimes to do with reliability of numbers. I remember one client who sold, they're called flow wrappers. So the bits that take bread, for example, and put it in a wrapper. It's a clever machine called a flow wrapper. And they invoiced in stages, or 30% with order, 60% on delivery, 10% on completion and installation. But they also invoiced 100% when they came to the end. So they had a debtor's ledger which was overstated hugely. And it's not you don't need to be a miracle worker to do that, but you just need to fix it. because your age debt then means something. So that was quite exciting.
Yeah.
So I had about 15 years of doing interim work, and interspersed with that a bit of training on finance for non-financials in the UK and in the Middle East. So it's taken me to places I could only dream about and read on atlases. And my work now is almost exclusively on, I describe myself as a financial magician, turning £1 into £2.30. And those who understand research and development tax credits will recognize that calculation.
How did you get into the research and development stuff? Was that a project that you started in a company somewhere, or how did you do that?
That's an interesting question. There was a particular company that did clever things with facial recognition, and they had some very big claims, and I helped to put together a couple of years worth of claims, and they were massive cash benefits to the company. And then I connected with a chap I've known for a lot of years. I've been a scout leader for a long time, and through that connection, his two sons had been through scouts, so I had worked with him, and he had focused on he does grants and R&D tax credits, and I joined as an associate, and that's about 6 years ago. So I had a little bit of background and learnt more on the job, and have acquired some clients directly, as well as doing work for him on crunching numbers very often, or putting them into a shape, or understanding accounts, that sort of thing.
Would you deal with any size of R&D claim? Because I know that, for example, some people like Catos and things like that, they're only really interested if it's quite a large claim, but you can claim quite small amounts for R&D.
So there is no de minimis as far as I know, okay. And probably wrongly if you think of it in a business sense, but we don't have a minimum value on the claim, because we argue that, well, today it might be worth 2 and 6pence, but in 3 years' time it might be worth quite a lot. So we're looking for the long game, really, and obviously a very small claim would have a commensurate amount of effort and not a fully detailed report, but we try and balance the input with the reward.
Now, another thing that I know that a lot of MIPS kind of struggle with is that a lot of CIMA members will work as interims and stuff like that, and they don't quite know when they cross the line and when they need to be registered as a member in practice, as opposed to just carrying on doing their interim work and stuff like that. And I know there's kind of some rules around when you actually start to advise the client and how you start to do that. So how would you describe when they cross the line and then they need to register as a member in practice?
If I play a straight back with that, and it is, if you're offering accounting services as defined by CIMA, somewhere you can find that link.
Yeah, it's on the website.
Yeah, it's on the CIMA website. And if you offer accounting services, if you offer them free, that doesn't count because you're outside the scope. If you offer them as an employee, that's okay. So how IR35 works with that, I'm not quite sure. Are you an employee or not? I think you're a worker, which is a little bit outside the definition. But if you're offering accounting services as defined by CIMA, then you should register. And the Members in Practice panel has debated with the Professional Standards Group as to whether people who are consultants should do it. And my instinct is probably yes, because if you're advising on accounting things, accounting matters, you can cause great pain to the institute and to your own reputation by getting it wrong.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think that all CIMA members who do consultancy work should register as members in practice, because, as you say, potentially they could, get themselves into difficulty.
very slightly modify that, because you might be doing something to do, let's say, if you were only a project manager, I would say that's probably not offering accounting services.
No,
and
true.
if you were a consultant in training for some reason, you drifted into training, that's probably not offering accounting services. So it's not as clear cut as you would wish.
No.
My view is, if you're a CIMA member and the CIMA membership helps you to get work, then you probably should be a member in practice. That is a wider definition than is currently available on the website. That is a personal view, because I think there are proper standards, and you need to have a proper anti-money laundering, be alert to that, and professional indemnity insurance, and you need to support your client by having an appropriate continuity partner. So I think you should become a MIP for those reasons, but that's a personal view. CIMA doesn't require it if you're doing non-accounting services. So at the moment, the boundaries are drawn reasonably, but they're a bit wobbly at some edges.
No, that's good advice, Ian, and definitely you can check the rules on the CIMA website. I've always felt that probably there are lots of people who probably should register who probably haven't registered, and I think we encouraging those to do so would be good. But as you said, it does very much depend on the things you provide. So if you are a trainer, then you probably don't need to, or if you just do IT implementations or something a little bit off the just in terms of actually helping people to get their accounts in order and turn their business around, then maybe you don't need to, but it just depends on the circumstances. Now, I know that you're the chair of the Members in Practice panel, and I'm also on that panel as well, but what is the role when people are thinking about becoming a member in practice? What role would the panel play in that process for them? How do we help people? Because a lot of people probably wouldn't understand that.
There's a couple of things that Members in Practice panel do. One is that we try to provide material that is helpful for members in practice. So there are a series of webinars. Again, search CIMA Global past webinars and you may find them. And they're under the heading of MIPS helping MIPS. So there's a self-employed the CIMA route, there's a one on pricing, one on where do customers come from. So there's a whole selling management accounts as a service. Fiona Bevan delivered that last year. So there's a whole range of past webinars. So we're trying to produce some material which is valuable to people thinking about becoming a member in practice. And perhaps the other thing that we do is to signpost people. Because generally the Members in Practice panel is fairly active on social media, at local events, and we try to signpost people to help them find their niche in the world. So tomorrow there's Joy Quarry delivering something about Find Your Niche webinar on the CIMA website, free to attend, and she's good at thinking of your customer avatar and building pipelines and so on. So we're trying to produce material that is valuable to people as they're starting up, and we signpost them to that. And we also help members meet each other, and sometimes you need to meet each other if you're starting up. There are often the case that you don't know anyone who could be, for example, a continuity partner or someone to talk to. And I'm thinking of a few people that I've talked to recently who were thinking of starting up, and one of the services they may well offer is part-time financial director. Now, where do clients come from? How does it work? How do you bill for it? That sort of thing. Really difficult questions. And so there are various networks around, and Members in Practice on the Members in Practice panel are alert to those sort of conversations and can sometimes find a continuity partner. I think I've found potentially 3 for someone who emailed me yesterday. She wants someone who's going to help support on QuickBooks and Xero. I have a network of people, and 3 people have replied within 24 hours. Well, you only need 1 person for SEMA, but if you have a problem with QuickBooks or Xero, it's sometimes helpful to talk to somebody else and say, well, how do you do this? I want to do this analysis. How does it work? And so those sort of conversations we can help to facilitate. So I think we're out there and active.
I've always thought one of the unique things about SEMA members, and I've always found this when I've been to events and things, is that we are more willing perhaps than other institutes to help each other. I've seen it more with other accountants where they are almost like little islands, and they like, well, we know everything. We don't need, we do everything. We know everything. We don't talk to any other practices because they're all competition sort of thing. We don't tend to see people like that in SEMA.
I've found that's a very good point. I've found that SEMA members in practice more like a family, and they will help other members of the family. So it's a very broad church. If you ask in the right place, there's the LinkedIn group, SEMA MIPS, quite hard to find because it's a private group. Drop me a line on my address or talk to Steve and he'll point you at that. It's a secret group because it's closed, and the entry requirements are quite severe. You just have to be a member and look like a member in practice, and so there are some criteria to get in, but it's hard to find. It doesn't come up easily on a search. So, but you're right, members will help each other, and I try to encourage that. In fact, a conversation I had this morning, somebody's looking for a business valuation. I know someone who can help with that, and so I've connected them with a piece of work potentially. So we keep it within the MIP family if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've always taken that approach as well. And I referred a piece of work to another SEMA member just the other day, which was to assisting a business during a wind-up process and things like that. So
we can't do everything. There are people who enjoy the compliance side. There are people who do management accounts and pricing and other clever things. There are interims and there are part-time FDs, as well as other specialists floating around. And you just got to pick the right person for the client. And
no, that's good advice, definitely. And I say if anybody's out there thinking of starting as a member in practice, they should be reassured that we are here to help, and that there are people that will help them if they get stuck on stuff.
I think that segues beautifully into save the date of October the 19th for the Members in Practice conference. Oh, thank you. Look at that. If only I had the technology. So that's an unbelievably long URL, but if you search for SEMA Global MIP Conference 2020, you'll get to it. And following on your remarks, Steve, if you're thinking of starting up, we've added a special bonus day on October the 19th for new MIPs, or as we call them, pre-MIPs, people thinking about becoming a member in practice. And there's some very useful material about setting up the right sort of business for you and what is possible as a member in practice, and stuff about marketing and where clients come from, and essential skills for new MIPs, one on compliance and tax and the other on management accounting. So there's a lot of stuff which is available and ready for members in practice. At the lunch break, having seen the platform we're going to use, having seen that yesterday for the first time, it looks fabulous. There are ways of creating little coffee lounges, or there'll be some exhibitors. You can go talk to an exhibitor one-to-one. There are little tables you can join up to 4 people and have a conversation about that. We're going to have some networking groups. I describe them as special interest groups for people who are thinking of, let's say, doing some compliance work. You want to talk to other people who are doing that work as well, or thinking of doing it, and talk about what systems to use, how to get there, how to get the clients. and so on. So there'll be little special interest groups, and we can have conversations with people there, and we can connect with them virtually and have conversations after the event. And the whole day, including access to the recording, a massive fee of 30 English pounds, sorry, 30 British pounds, including VAT.
That's
Other
amazing.
currencies are available. So that is a fabulous day. It's been put on by MIPS for MIPS, so we understand the challenges everybody faces, and that is October the 19th.
Yeah, I must say, I glanced at some of the videos from yesterday, and the software seems quite incredible, because lots of people use Zoom and things, but this is a very specialist piece of software, and you can book a meeting to go and talk to a sponsor. You can book meetings with VIPs, the speakers. You can book meetings with other people, and all sort of rolling off of the whole thing, move in and out of groups and stuff like that. It does seem, I've never seen anything quite like it, to be honest.
It is quite clever. I think our plan is to stretch the capabilities of that software by having slightly bigger groups than we would wish, because the networking might be a larger group than is currently allowed. But we can have two meetings. That's, you know, everything is possible. There's unlimited number of meeting rooms, and we're also hoping to have a virtual networking at the end, just so that we can relax, have a drink. My drink of choice today is tonic water. Other drinks are available, and just talk to people, because the relationships you build, even virtually, will be very helpful in continuing your business.
I think it's a big opportunity with the virtual conference, because it's no longer about having to travel somewhere, stay somewhere, and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, if you can just tune in and participate, then that should give a much wider opportunity, not, you know, within the UK, but even perhaps people who don't live in the UK who might still want to participate. So it's
I think the geography is no limitation. Following on from a self-employed the SEMA route that Lorraine and Julie delivered, I talked to a member of practice in Bermuda. Well, I'd never have spoken to him if he hadn't made some remark, followed up, attended something, and some of the virtual networking I do on a Wednesday. We've got somebody from Minneapolis. We had Angeline from Johannesburg on the call, even joined us during a blackout. So somebody in Vancouver trying to get back to the UK. So there is no limitation now on where you are and the influence and you have and the connections you can make.
I think it's a fantastic opportunity, and anybody thinking of becoming a MIP should, or anybody who already is a MIP, should also be joining in with the conference. It's a great opportunity.
Absolutely. And the conference proper, which is the one we would have delivered in person, is on October the 22nd and October the 23rd. So it's 2 days. A lot of things: succeeding in times of change, influencing skills, specialist on LinkedIn, technical updates on FRS 102 and 105, defining your niche, update from professional standards, attracting high-value clients. We're hoping to have a dressed-up networking, not quite a gala dinner, which we have in real life, but we'll have. We're going to dress up, and anybody who recognises me, I'll be in my full Highland dress and kilt. It's worth it, the money, just to see that. And then on the second day, we've got Peter Cheese, who's the head of CIPD, professional, what's that, personnel development.
Yeah.
And selling skills, or selling without selling, tax update, cybersecurity, tools for accountants, and finishing up with Will Butler Adams, who's the CEO of Brompton Bicycles.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people, some motivational, but the idea is you get a good speaker. If you want more of him or her, follow it up with an in-depth, a deep dive later on. So it's a real benefit and some huge value. Unfortunately, the early bird discount has ended, but even so, 2 days, including VAT, £99. Who could ask for more? Well, it's fabulous value and really good compared with a whole lot. So we're hoping a lot of people join that. The response so far has been great. Could be more. We want as many people as possible to take part in that, because it's a high spot of what the Members in Practice panel does, and a lot of people have worked very hard to get these key people in place.
Yeah, very good. Okay, well, that's fantastic, Ian. Thank you very much for talking to us today. I think we're going to draw it to a close there, and I'll share this on LinkedIn. It's already on Facebook and YouTube, so we'll share those links, get them out to everybody, and thank you very much, Ian. I'll just draw it to a close there. Thanks.
Have a good day.